Hello, so today we're going to be talking about my plans, my goals for 2025. I know it's too early to be making this video, but I talked about it in the end of the year tag. It asked, do you have any goals? And I was like, no, I haven't thought about that at all. And since then, I've been thinking about it because it just kind of stirred those thoughts in my mind. So I sat down today, wrote down the things that have been circulating in my mind. And then I just thought, you know what, this is what I feel like filming today, this is what's on my mind, this is what I feel like talking about. I'm aware I'm too early, but it's the video I wanted to film, so here we are. This will be a relatively quick video though, because for the most part, I'm really satisfied with the goals that I had for 2024. Pretty much everything that I set for myself to do in 2024 was about pushing myself as a reviewer, not about like meeting a certain number goal or something like that. And I feel that I have pushed myself as a reviewer, but I'm better at the things that I was wanting to do, but there's still room for growth in some of them. So because of that, several of my goals will be repeated this year, but I also have two new goals, one of which is bringing in a goal that I dropped in 2024 and bringing it back in, but adjusting it for how I want it to serve me in 2025. And then one is a completely new goal that I've never tried before. So I'll start with the new ones for 2025. So the first one is the one that I'm pulling on from 2023. In 2023, I was reading a lot more than I am now, and I just had a lot more time on my plate at that point in my life, and I was challenging myself to read one nonfiction a month, one classic a month, one fantasy, one sci-fi, one thriller, or something like that. Like, I was trying to pull from several genres or types of books every single month to really make myself read widely. 2024 was a far more busy and taxing year for me, and so I really took it easy on goals like that, and I just said, read what you want to read, just focus on, continuing series, keeping track of what you're reading, pushing yourself to be a stronger reviewer, stuff like that, and that was what my focus was on, and I was really happy with that choice. But I then also noticed that in 2024, I ended up getting into this habit of almost exclusively reading the same types of books for a good span of time. I was just in fantasy mode, but then I was picking up the same types of fantasy, and I really had kind of tunneled myself into a position where I ended up having a reflection of, do I even like what I'm reading anymore? Have my taste changed? Am I enjoying this? And I shifted things from there, and that's been great for me. So my first goal, all that preamble out of the way, my first goal is to bring back the challenge to make myself read more widely, but to make it a little bit less extraneous, so that I'm still just picking up what I enjoy, but also challenging myself. So the first goal is every quarter I want to have read one nonfiction, one classic, and one book that is far outside of my comfort zone. This year I've discovered Jeff Vandermeer as well as Stefan Zweig, two authors that have taken over my reading life and dominated my favorites list, and both are so far outside of what I would have thought I would have enjoyed. And I've stepped outside of my comfort zone for quite a few of my favorites this year, and it was accidental. So I want to be really intentional about that in 2025 and not end up in that sort of hyper fixated, this is all I'm reading, it's all the same, wait, do I even like this anymore? I don't want to fall into that again in 2025, so still giving myself a lot of room because it's only quarterly, but pushing myself to read outside of my comfort zone and hopefully find new things that I want to hyperfixate on, like I have been for Vandermeer. So that's only 3 books per quarter that I need to do to meet this goal. So ideally, if I just pick one per month, then that won't push me because I am trying to, slow down, really take in and absorb every book that I'm reading, not reading ferociously just because I have so many books that I'm excited about, so I want to read them all, but accepting I can't read them all. So enjoy the ones that you're reading, right? Like that's what I've been doing lately, and I've been loving it. So I still want to maintain that while also pushing myself to go outside of that. Remember when I said this would be a quick video? We've gotten through 1 point. Next one. This is one that's never appeared on any of my reading challenges lists before, and it's one that I'm borrowing from my friend Joanna. She keeps a reading journal. It's very simple. Just at the end of every day, she reflects on what she read and writes notes about it. Sometimes it's just a sentence or two. And I just think that that is so brilliant. She even at one point shared with me her notes. She scanned her journal pages and emailed them to me. It was a book that we were buddy reading, to just show me her daily, just here's the chunk that I read, here's what it said. One of my goals in 2024 was to be writing more extensive reviews, multiple paragraphs long, comprehensive, really trying to take a beat after I finish a book, reflect on that book, try to capture the main themes and the main elements that really worked for me and didn't work for me, to push me to be more reflective and to be a better reviewer, and also just to have a concrete something I can look back on and be able to reference when I need to talk about the book again in the future. And I've been okay at that goal. But I think something that could help me to succeed at that goal a little bit better is at the end of every day, pull out my reading journal and reflect on the chunk of story that I read that day and write a sentence or two kind of encompassing that chunk. And then at the end of the book, when it's time for me to look back at the book as a whole, that can give me little chunks that can remind me better of the full picture of the story. So it's not going to be anything fancy. It's just going to be a blank notebook. It's not going to be, you know, a really nice reading journal, which I think that those are great, but I'm going to buy like a $2 notebook. And just for myself, not to share anywhere, just to keep very simple notes to help me when it comes time to write those individual reviews at the end of a book. So those are the two new goals that I have. Now quickly going over the goals that I'm going to continue on to 2025, because I was really satisfied with my goals list this year. I think it pushed me. I think that it helped me to be able to focus on being a better reviewer while still just enjoying whatever it is that I'm reading and not making myself read more or making myself read books that I wasn't really interested in reading. I really think that those goals suited me quite nicely. So I'm repeating almost all of them. The first one is writing these comprehensive reviews. I did not keep up with them perfectly in 2024. This was the goal that pushed me the most of all of my goals, and I missed it some months, but I am trying, and I think I succeeded more than I failed, and I'm really happy with the results that it produced for the books that I did sit down and write a comprehensive review on. It helped me to be able to reflect on the book more, it helped me to be able to discuss the book more, and now I can look back and I can quickly read over my review and know how to talk about that book if it comes up in a future video or a future discussion. So I love this goal, and I really want to continue it in 2025 and push myself to do better in 2025, to succeed at it a little bit better than I succeeded at in 2024, though I'm happy with the progress I made in 2024. The next goal that I'm going to continue on into 2025 is to continue series. I didn't set myself a number in 2024 because the goal was just about not letting series that I'm enjoying fall to the wayside. And, you know, I'm reading different series at different pacing, but the series that I was really loving and wanting to continue on with, I made sure to prioritize. And I think I did a great job at this in 2024. So this is carrying on into 2025 when I do my quarterly check-ins, which I plan on continuing next year. I'm going to continue to say, yes, I continued this series, and this series, goal completed. So it's no set number, it's just a mindfulness. Next goal is to keep up with my quarterly favorites and reviews. Each quarter, I do a goals check-in video where I talk about, am I actually keeping these goals? I discuss the points of weakness I have, wanting to, you know, do better in the next quarter, as well as reflecting on some of my favorite world building, magic system, characters, opening hook, some books that I thought really stood out in specific ways, as well as my top 3 books of that quarter. And then in an effort to continue reading from authors that I'm loving, I challenged myself to, for the 3 favorite books that I have that quarter, I would read another book by that author in the following quarter. So that whole comprehensive goal is continuing on in 2025. I think that was great. That's why I've been reading so much Vandermeer and Zweig. Well, the Vandermeer thing is just because of my obsessive tendencies. That's why I continued to read more Zweig after getting 2 of his stories out of the way. I read a 3rd and I enjoyed it so much, and I'm going to continue reading from him, as well as reading more Tchaikovsky. I've had to pick up more of his books because he's ended up in favorites, and then I love more of his books. So, you know, it's a cycle that ends up making me prioritize continuing authors and not just series. So I am continuing that in 2025 as well. Oh, whoops. I actually combined my final two. Keeping up with the top, the awards and the top 3 of the month, and then my second final goal was to continue keeping up with favorite authors in the quarterly videos. So whoopsie, now the video's done. So those are my goals for 2025. Again, last year my focus was on pushing myself to be a better reviewer instead of pushing myself as a reader. And this year, reflecting back on how reading went for me over the year, I see that I want to continue to push myself to be a better reviewer, but I also need to be pushing myself as a reader so that I don't fall into a rut. So my goals this year are reflective of that, primarily focusing on pushing myself as a reviewer, but also a little push towards me as a reader as well. I don't have a number goal. I'll read the number of books that I read, and I will be happy to have found some great stories. So those are my goals. I would love to hear your goals if you've thought about them yet, if you have any, if you plan on nabbing 1 or 2 of mine and making them your own. Please do, and please let me know if you do. But please do chat with me more in the comments. I'll see you again soon. Bye.